Welcome to the official podcast of the National Pickleball League, where we go inside the NPL.
Welcome to Everything in the Kitchen Dink. My name is Michael Hammer Mike Chen, along with my co-host, Jen Bone Crusher Gallwas, David, the Professor George, and my co-founder as well, Rick Ripskin Witsken. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited. We have another incredible guest this podcast as we get ready for Kansas City, which is coming up next week. But for this week, we're going to take one last look at the week past, which we played in Cincinnati, incredible in Pickle Lodge. And we're going to have a special guest to talk about his experience in NPL and last week in Cincinnati. And then next week, we will then forecast, predict who's going to win in Kansas City. But before we do that, just again, I want to thank our sponsors, Gearbox, right, as the official paddle, Gamma, Chuck, the ball we use in NPL, Incrediwear, the compression wear that we have, and Jen, David, Rick, they all wear that, as well as Ernie. Exactly. Ernie, the ball machine, a fat tire. We drink a lot of fat tires after a couple of exhausting day in pickleball. And Julian Coffee to wake us up because our matches start at 7:30 in the morning. So those are some of our incredible sponsors, and we just want to thank them all, and we look forward to our match in Kansas City. But without further ado, I want to bring on our special guest. Our special guest we're delighted to have is Danny Wuerffel. Danny Wuerffel is, as you know, the Heisman Trophy winner in 1996. He won a national championship with the Florida Gators. And then as well as he went on and played 6 years in the NFL. Like, he's done it all at the highest level. And by the way, in 1996, he beat his arch rivals, Florida State, to win the national championship game. So he's done it all. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Danny Wuerffel.
Hey, thanks so much. That's a fanfare of an introduction, and to see everybody cheering for me. Wow, it's great. Thanks.
Well, Danny, I just got to start with one question, right? Like I said, you've played the highest level competition, college football and NFL, right? Your competitive juices were flowing there. Now you're playing the NPL, and you've been playing pickleball for a few years, and you've been a great ambassador of pickleball. But this is the first team competition you played in the National Pickleball League for pros over the age of 50. Are your competitive juices still flowing now, or is it like, this is for fun, I'm just playing out there a rec time? Or do you actually have those same competitive juices you had when you played college and NFL football?
It's probably both. I think on one hand, at this point in my life, it's like, I feel so fulfilled in all the things that I'm doing. Like, I don't feel like I need another thing. But I tell you, once you start keeping score in anything, there's this thing inside of me that's like, all right, we're going to figure out how to win this game, and what shot am I not able to make? So I'm going to hit 1,000 of those off the wall, and just, how can I get better? Just in the gym, trying to get my knees stronger so I can jump a little bit farther on an Ernie if I ever get to play against Rick. So, it's been really fun to have the juices fire back up again for sure.
No, that's great. That's great. And Jen, I know you and David and Rick have lots of questions, so let me just turn it over and have Jen go ahead with the next question.
Well, I wanted to congratulate you on you have this amazing record, one of the best records probably in the league, definitely better than my record. But one thing that really stands out is when you go to game 3. I believe you're undefeated in game 3, 13-0.
That's what I hear.
Okay, and we all know it's win by one. I have had so many 11-10 games, my favor and the other favor. I don't have that same record. You've played at the highest level, and they always say what separates a great athlete sometimes from a good is not just the shots, it's that mental toughness, which, we've talked about with Dane on the show before. And is there one piece of advice or something that a coach or teammate shared with you early in your career that you've carried over into your life and into pickleball that just gets you so ready, so mentally tough to get that win, when it is in that tight situation, not to worry about losing or, what is it that really helps you in those moments?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably a lot of things. And I think one of them, just be honest, is probably luck. I mean, to win 13 tiebreaker games, several of
That's
them
not
11-10.
luck.
I mean, could have gone
Not luck.
Really?
Not luck.
Come
could have
on,
gone
that's
either
such a
way. A
cop
lot of
out.
them.
Whatever.
I think there's again this the ability to hyper focus on something also means you're not thinking about other things. And, there's a lot of voices that get in your head. You're returning at 10-10 in the third game. And if you start thinking, don't miss this return, don't miss this return, you might miss it. Whereas you're thinking, where am I going to hit this return? Where's the best spot to hit it? So I think that's part of it. I also think, I mentioned this earlier, but I think there's a sense in which if something is too important to you, you feel a lot of pressure. And so I think there's a sense in finding your value and your identity in something different, higher. For me, faith and other things is where I really sense my identity. I think that helps. I think going into tiebreaker games, I'm, the way this league works, I'm the youngest guy out there because I just turned 50. So I think, being in shape helps in the third games. I think being very cerebral, trying to learn your opponents, and sometimes I haven't played anybody. Like I had never seen any type of shots Michael the Hammer Chen hits. He hits shots that nobody else tries. So you got to figure out what's he doing here, and you learn, and then I think focus and then being in shape can help as well.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about our match a little bit later because it still pains me that I lost to you in game 3. I was one of the people that lost to Danny Wuerffel in game 3, but we'll talk about it later. Let's turn it over to David George because he's very cerebral as well. He's our top player on the Kansas City Stingers, but he's very analytical about the game. So I think you have some chemistry with David and the questions he's going to ask.
Great.
Well, I could go on and on about kind of your mindset, but are any of these skills or the mental toughness, does any of that translate? Is that the same skills that you had as the highest level football player and NFL, quarterback? Is it different or is it the same, or what is it like? Can you compare the two?
Sure. Well, I think just in general, playing at any high level, you've got to figure out the mental toughness and focus. I think what I have found to be very interesting is the uniqueness of playing quarterback and how that comes into play in pickleball. There's not a lot of sports where as a quarterback, you're dropping back and you're taking in thousands of data points from the lineup to the pre-snap to get the ball, and you're going back and you're just constantly taking all these thousands of things and focusing, but you're also waiting to make a decision till very, very late. Like if you commit early and look at your receiver and throw it, he's going to get killed. So you may have 3 spots to go. You're waiting at the last second. In football, you make a commitment, you throw it, and you usually get smashed. But you got to commit to it. Well, in pickleball, you may have 2 or 3 different shots you can hit off the same look, and to really wait to the last second to commit, I think can be really helpful. Taking in the data, what are your opponents doing at every moment? Part of my problem, some of my errors in pickleball come, in football, I've got the ball in my hand, so you don't have to watch the ball. You're watching everybody else. Sometimes in pickleball, I'm watching everything but the ball. And especially like on a volley dink, you've got to be very precise. And so I really have to sometimes track the ball more. I could tell you what grip Michael had. I could tell you what foot he was leaning on. I could tell you all these things, but then I missed the volley dink in the net because I forgot to watch the ball.
So easy to do.
So what's more difficult, trying to figure out what shot Michael Chen is going to hit, or trying to read the linebacker at the NFL level?
Well, I can tell you what, he's called the hammer, but at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt as much, even if he pegs me with the plastic ball, than when a linebacker hits you.
He has a little different size.
That's true. I tell you, once I put the eyewear on, now it's like, there's really no other way that you can really get hurt from a ball, in my estimation, but you never know.
Danny, thanks for coming on today. A few things. Number one, I appreciate your Christianity and your love of God. That's awesome. Secondly, obviously, I have very much the Florida Gators in my heart, even though I went to the University of Alabama, because SEC's family. Ben Shelton being a Gator, and he still goes to the games. And man, does he not still feel that family at UF? They live in Gainesville, as you know. And what I wanted to talk to you about is just the family of the NPL. There's some images that always stick out in my mind from each championship weekend we have. One of the images I have of you was eating a cupcake after your win against the Indy Drivers. And pretty sure you won 11-10 in the third, and that kept us out of a team breaker. So I was actually in a meeting because I don't know if you're aware, but I do a lot of things besides just play during an NPL. But I was super sad that you and Denver beat the Indy Drivers 7-5 again. But would you have had a cupcake if you hadn't won that determining match?
Say that. What was the question? The last question you said?
Your team won 11-10 in the third to keep us from going to a team breaker. So was that a celebratory eating of a cupcake? Or we already told you on earlier that we do our morning with coffee, Julian coffee. We do, what the heck is that?
It's a Denver Icon hat.
Not a cupcake, Grant.
Yeah.
It's a Denver kind of, it's so interesting. I'm 50 years old. I'm so far away from playing football. And here I find myself the last match of a game on Sunday afternoon, and it's 10-10 in the finals. All the other matches in our team was done, so everybody was watching. And it's like the intensity and the excitement is like, where can you find this, in any other really sport at our age and any other format of pickleball. And, I want to thank you, Rick, and you, Michael, and of course, Beth, and all the other people that have really worked so hard to put this together for us. We could all of us here, and probably anybody listening to this, you love pickleball because it's just a really unique, amazing sport. So I don't need to go over why I love it so much we can. But I think the uniqueness of NPL too is bringing this team aspect together. It sort of takes the joy of pickleball to a whole nother level. I haven't played in many regular tournaments. My experience of a regular tournament is if you do well, it's kind of a really long, disjointed day. And if you don't do well, you're mad that you lost. And there's certainly not the level of energy or excitement. And so this is great. You're playing all weekend. You're with your teammates. You're cheering for them. They're cheering for you. I've been to 3 tournaments now, and you get to know more people besides just your team. And there's just such a great family atmosphere. And I was just happy. And there was a cupcake, and Denver beat Indy. And so, hey, excited for that. I do want to say too, everybody's being kind about how good I'm doing. I do want to make sure anybody listening knows there's 3 levels, kind of 3 pods going. I like to say there's varsity, JV, and the freshman squad. So at this point in my career, I'm doing really well on the freshman squad. And, the others, like Rick, on the senior squad. So, part of my goal is over time to get to play in some of the other pods, but you got to do what's best for your team. So we'll see how that unfolds, but I'm loving it.
Well, talking about the freshman pod, okay, your record after 3 weeks is 20-2. It's the best record in the whole league of 200 players. And last weekend, yeah, it's 20-2. It's 8-0 this last weekend in Cincinnati. I play in the freshman pod too. I don't get to play in the varsity with Rick. And I had a chance to play against you in the freshman pod, and you and I played twice. One's in the men's and one's in the mix. And you and Bill Muno handily beat us in the men's, and you guys put a clinic on there. But then I came back and says, I'm going to adapt, second half of a football game. I'm going to change my strategy, right? Because I watched tapes. You watch tapes of football. I watched tapes. I watched tapes of you in Chicago, and I said, he's a little bit off on his third shot drop. We're going to hit third shots. So Danny had to hit third shot drops because Bill Muno was coming over all the time. You hit almost every third shot back drop consistently. I said, okay, game plan changes. In the mix, I'm not going to go to you on the third shot. We're going to go to your partner. And we had success the first game. We won 11-3. I'm like, here's my chance to have my legacy in sports because I didn't play college football. This is the only pro sport I played. I said, I have a chance to beat Danny Wuerffel. I have a chance to actually say, hey, Heisman Trophy winner, I got him.
He was going to print out the duper picture.
I was.
In the office.
Yes. And then he comes back and he takes it another level. And he and his partner, Cheryl Carmel, you both take it another level. 11-7 the second match. And then me and my partner, Amy Honia, we played great in the third game. We like put everything on you. We tried all the different strategy. As you know, I did my high lob serve. I did my lefty swing. I'm doing every single trick in the book. And you got every ball back. Cheryl was a rock of consistency, and you beat us 11-7. And it just drove me nuts. But tell me again, like, this is not just you playing with a teammate you've been practicing with for like the whole summer. This is Cheryl Cartmel. I don't know how much you've practiced with her, but you look like you were in sync in that match, or you got in sync. What is your strategy in pickleball to adapt to your partner who might have a totally different game than your men's partner or another partner you play with? How do you do that? How do you adapt to your partner and work together? I'm curious about how successful you've been doing that this whole year.
I mean, I think, it does. The more time you have, the better. So that's part of the challenge. If you're playing an opponent you've never seen them play, you may be feeding them balls to their favorite shot, which you don't want to do. And then in terms of who you're playing with, you try to get some of that chemistry together. When I play with Bill, we both, I think, hit great third shot drops, but his are really good. And then if he hits the drop, I can go crash, right, which then makes the fourth shot a little trickier. You've got to almost give up pushing us back if I'm at the net. So we just find that to be a great strategy for us. But I love to take the thirds in other scenarios. You guys were a very unique team, and Amy, I've never seen her play, and I don't know how she normally plays, but in that first game, she was amazing. It was like, it started with more of a, let's keep the ball away from Michael. And she played so well. It was like, we got scared of her too. So then it was more trying to figure out some stuff. You guys, you kind of reverse stacked a little bit sometimes, and you got on the right. Yeah. And in that case, we had a lot of success because I told her to dink to your backhand, and then I could stand right in the middle of the court. And then you're dinking with your backhand. She doesn't have to move. Amy's probably not going to steal that ball with her forehand and fire it at me. So that we got a lot of points that way. But man, you guys were great. You threw a lot at us, and we dialed in the end. And I actually have the duper printout right here of the match.
Oh yeah.
Hey Danny, a quick question here. Did you go to the party on Friday night with the Olympic theme?
I was there briefly. I had to leave. We had some friends from out of town that came. So I was there for dinner, but then when all the excitement started, I did have to peel out.
Okay. We just really value the off-court things that happen as well as the on-court. If you were got a chance to see David George's beautiful white legs, he was showing them in full display. Stefan Andren was really showing off his swimmer body.
I saw some of that. Yeah. There's some interesting outfits.
We want to forget David's outfit. Oh my God. You can't unsee it. You'd remember, Danny. He borrowed his teenage daughter's half shirt.
My question, though, Danny, to you is, when I think about that huddle of the Denver Iconics, obviously I know almost everyone on that team, and Fliegelman's kind of a soft-spoken but a really high analytical coach, and Chad's kind of a rugby guy, and then you've got Molly, who's just a goofball but so amazing. Well, you're so respected and such a high-level professional athlete that where does your voice come into that group in the huddle?
Oh, I think it's evolving. We got a little chant we do that I had learned in high school football, and they seem to love it. So if we do win a match, we'll do our chant at the end. And, I've really just tried to be more encouraging, as the young guy out there. Everybody else is super high pickleball IQ. So, I'm more just the rah-rah. We can do this type of guy. And if people ask me other questions, I can comment. But I just respect we have a really, really good team. And I think there's some other teams that have like some amazing players, some superstars, but like just our whole lineup is solid. And, our whole, especially the men, all the way through, we've got a really high level group of guys, and the women are great as well, and battlers. And so it's been really fun playing, with Maureen and Cheryl and Shelly, and just trying to be scrappy and figure out how to steal some wins. So it's a great group. I've heard that some of the teams over the last year and this year, there's just been, some of the teams have had some drama, and you get that whenever you get human beings together. But our team has just been fantastic. And I do want to take a moment, I don't know whether they're listening or not, but just to really honor our owners. Jen, Mario, and Chris are fantastic. They've been super generous and thoughtful and kind and sacrificial. And so just a big shout out to them.
Well, and you have Scott Fliegelman he's not only an amazing player, but he's such a great coach. Is there, how's that? You have such great camaraderie on your team. Is there something that he looks to you to help with the team as far as the coaching, or like you mentioned your chat with your experience, or, what's been something that you've learned from him or that you've helped him with?
I think he's awesome. A phenomenal pickleball IQ, the things he's thinking of. It's like playing chess at a high level, and to kind of interact with that. We've practiced a few times and did some drills. He's got an awesome place, Boulder Pickleball in Boulder, Colorado, and the amount of gadgets and gizmos he has to go through a training session is pretty amazing. So that was really fun. And he's I think he's very kind. He's very soft spoken, but he's a very strong leader as well. And so I think that's very powerful. And, I'm just happy to be there, a little rah-rah here and there. And
what's your chant? What's your Denver team chant that you came up with?
I tell you what, when do we play next?
Next week in Kansas City.
Yeah, just
we're going to win this time.
Maybe after the game, you'll hear it again. Hopefully. No, it's something I learned from my high school football coach, where you say, together we stand, and then everybody says, together we stand, and then the leader says, together we fall, all for one, one for all, 1, 2, 3, Denver.
Wow. Well, you guys are one of the top teams in the league. And in the beginning, none of us predicted you'd win the championship. But right now, I would say you're one of the odds-on favorites. All right, David, you might have said
he does it to every guest.
No.
Williams.
No. Sorry, Michael. Rick and I had this conversation. How many times, Rick, have we had this conversation? How much we like Denver back and forth about the draft and how solid they were, everything that Danny said. So nice try, Michael, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's super.
I picked Denver last weekend.
Well, you were wrong, Jen, because both.
I was wrong, but I picked Denver because I just played Denver.
I know.
So I saw it firsthand.
who picked Boca, by the way, and who was right about winning? Okay, so but I'm worried that I would say, Danny, you and your Denver, after playing you on the freshman team, holy cow. Going 22, you guys have such a tough team. I would say right now you and Houston are the top two teams to be favored to win it all for the season. Do you see, what is your strategy, and just among us, for Denver? Like, is it peak for the playoffs? Are you going to rotate players, get to see other combinations? Or are you just going to go with the same lineup every week and just say, hey, take us down? Like, what do you guys think?
Asking for your secrets. He's not giving away the secrets.
I'm trying to learn from the Heisman Trophy winner. We can all learn.
Well, you need to ask our coach then. He's the one that would be piecing that together. I don't know. I think we might try some different lineups. We have kind of already at different times. And as you guys know, sometimes someone can't make it, and then you have a sub, and that kind of switches the lineups as well. So I think we'll see. But I just, we're deep and we get along well. So, it certainly doesn't mean we're going to win, but I do think we're a hard team to beat. And that's really what you want to do. I do think, I didn't play last year, but it sounds like one of the changes this year was you added a little incentive to each weekend to have a winner of the weekend.
Right.
I think that really adds a lot to it. It makes each weekend more exciting in and of itself, as well as feeding into the finals and the championships. And so, well done.
Yeah. Anything else from the NPL? Like, when you came in, I think you had some expectation of the NPL. Is there something that's missing your expectation? Is something you'll love for the NPL to do even more of, to make you experience even at a higher level?
I'll have to think about that. It's a great question. Beth sent out an email after the first weekend, I think, asking for feedback, which I think is a fantastic leadership move for you guys to do that. Usually, when you're running something, you don't want feedback sometimes, because it kind of puts you on the defensive and that sort of thing. But I thought that was a great move. And the only two things I had from the first week were I thought they were adding the matches in Duper, and that hadn't happened. And I thought, if there was a few more courts to do any warm-ups, because in the first week there was just no way to really warm up. And, all those things have been taken care of. So well done, you guys.
Danny, I have one more question for you, and that is, I'm sure you've heard the news of Vince Vaughn becoming an owner, from a large owner of one of our teams. You're a high-profile guy. Obviously, Vince is high-profile. I think we're going to see him in Kansas City, hopefully. What would you say to any high-profile person out there that is 49, turning 50 or up, and they're thinking about playing in the NPL, but maybe they're not quite high enough at the 5.0, 5.5 Duper? Any advice to these high-profile people?
Oh man, from my end, it's been a fantastic experience. Like I said earlier, couldn't have enjoyed it more. It's a great community to be a part of, and so I'd be super supportive of anybody. And is he just coming in as an owner? That was one of my questions. Does he play? Does he want to play this year or next year? Is he, and let's get that game going. I'd love to get him on the court.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he's going to play this year, but another Vince I heard is going to be in Kansas City for sure playing, and that's Vince Van Patten, as you know. And so he's going to be a sub this week, I think, for Oklahoma City. So it'll be exciting to see Vince Van Patten, who is great at poker, and he's been working hard his pickleball game. I would love to see how he does in the NPL competition this coming week.
I bet he can misdirect pretty well.
Yeah, that's right.
Does he have a moonball serve like Cameron?
I don't know. We'll find out. I'm excited, but I think there's some excitement from some of these players, these celebrities who are seeing the fun and the joy, and they want to come play in it. So it is really, really awesome. And thank you, by the way, thank you, Danny, for being one of the pioneers of celebrity playing in the NPL. I hope you're the first of many, many celebrities.
So Danny,
I think it'd be great. A huge win would be some of the older famous tennis players, if and when they there's some of them, obviously Agassi and others that are picking up the sport and good. And, if any one of them were to get in, that would be fantastic. And I think it'll be more and more. I think there'll be more and more people like me that, are very committed to whatever they do and fall in love with the sport. And, the timing of your age is just unique to be at this point in your life when there's something, like, no one really looks forward to turning 50 unless you play pickleball. And so, I told my friends, like, in all the sports I've played, like, I was fast in high school, but once I got to college, everybody was faster than me. And once I got to the NFL, the linemen were faster than me. I couldn't outrun anybody. And now all of a sudden I'm like one of the fastest guys out there. It's like really, really fun.
So Danny, I wanted to ask you a question based on a question that Rick asked earlier, and then Jen asked, and Michael, he doesn't ask good questions. But I wanted to ask how pickleball has helped in kind of your off-court work. You're kind of known, I think, primarily now for your philanthropic work. The Wuerffel Foundation, Desire Street, stuff like that. And I just wanted to know if you could talk a little bit about how pickleball, you've incorporated that in some of your fundraising and, pickle bowls and things like that you've done.
Yeah, thank you. In addition to just being a fantastic sport that I enjoy, my life's mission through the Wuerffel Foundation and through Desire Street is to inspire service and unity in the world. Desire Street, we're working in under-resourced neighborhoods all over the Southeast United States. And then the Wuerffel Foundation is involved in a lot of different other nonprofit support. And we have a college football award, not for like being great on the field, but for being great at community service, called the All-State Wuerffel Trophy. We just partnered with All-State, which was exciting. In fact, we closed that deal when I was in Chicago for the first NPL. I went and met with the executives from All-State to finalize that. So that was exciting. And we've done now 2 what we're calling the Pickle Bowl. You've heard of the Sugar Bowl and, the Orange Bowl, but the Pickle Bowl is a really large-scale celebrity pro-am where we have celebrities and pro pickleball players that went to the same college. We've incorporated sort of a MLP owner and player division, as well as like a company, like a paddle company owner and pro. And looks like this year we're going to have that in Orlando, Florida, kind of right before the Major League Pickleball Finals, November 19th. And that's been a huge fundraiser for us. And then just the connections through all of this have been amazing. New friends. I'm we're close to kind of announcing a deal. I'm joining the group with the Orlando Squeeze for Major League Pickleball. So I've been kind of working with them even over this past year. And so just the connections, the people through it have been a huge bolster for what we do. And, you know, my son last year, he's like, so let me get this straight, Dad. You've kind of given your life to help other people. You're doing nonprofit work. And right now you're like, you're talking to, you know, Tyson McGuffin and Anna Bright and all these people about playing pickleball, and you're setting up a tournament, and that's your job. I'm like, yeah, who would know?
That's
You mentioned
great.
that it's like we're all so lucky. I mean, first off, it's such a blessing in so many ways. We all played sports and to compete against, but to make this new group of friends outside of your town and your kids and your job. But you know, I played with two Blackhawk players all the time, pickleball from the Chicago area that are just addicted, and that, you know, our friends have played Lendl and Agassi, and that you get to Carling Bassett was my teammate at the U.S. Open. So never would you play tennis with Agassi, but you know, you're playing pickleball, and you know, it's just amazing that from all different sports backgrounds, and like you said, the entertainment business, this really is a sport that everyone has embraced, everyone's excited about. I think it's only going to get bigger and more fun. My kids are playing. It just brings so many different, you know, groups together, all ages, and it doesn't take you don't have to be a member of a club. It's very inclusive and accessible. So it's just been a gift, you know, to me, and I'm sure, you know, to all of us. So
Sure.
it's just been amazing. So thank you for starting the league too.
Yeah. You know, as you know, Danny, Rick, Beth, and I started the league, you know, to create a place for, you know, champion pros, 8 people of age of 50 to play. But that wasn't the only reason. You know, none of us are going to make a living off of this, right? We created it because we want to create a community of play, a home for people who are over age of 50, who may have a second career or wondering what their purpose in life is, you know, now that their kids are raised or they're retiring or they're in the second half of their career. And I think one of the most exciting things that's touched Rick, mine, and Beth's hearts is that we have changed people's lives, you know, mental health, physical health, create a community. People are now waking up saying, I can't wait till tomorrow. I can't wait to train, right? I can't wait to go to the next NPL event. And it's touching that, you know, you're a son of a Lutheran minister. My son is now going to be a pastor, you know, in the Christian church in New York City, and he's looking to change lives. So one of the things I love about what you're doing is connecting pickleball to doing good. And the fact that, you know, in a country where there's a lot of this divisiveness around, that we're trying to bring them all together at a united country around pickleball, around changing people's lives. And so my question to you is, what is your long-term goals? What's your vision of success? And I would love for NPL to be part of your vision of success of pickleball and changing communities. Do you have an overall goal in your second half of your career on that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think we've got some pretty laid out goals at Desire Street and with the foundation that we're working towards over the next few years that I'm really excited about. You know, I think the opportunities to include pickleball keep coming organically. You know, this summer we hosted you know, 80 folks that live and work in under-resourced neighborhoods all over the country. So these are kind of like the leaders of organizations where they're working with kids and families in really tough spots. And we take the leaders away for a retreat, and we have all sorts of activities that they can pick from for fun. And like, you know, 4 out of the 5 days, several of the people decided they wanted to go play pickleball. So I'm teaching folks from under-resourced neighborhoods how to play pickleball. You know, there's a group here that we go in the evenings. They have a sport court in their backyard, sort of in the hood in Atlanta. And, you know, there's kids shooting baskets, and they got to kick them off the basketball court so we can start playing pickleball. And then the kids are like making fun of us. What kind of sport is this? And then before long, they're all running out there, slamming the ball and running through the kitchen and don't know or care, but enjoying it. So I just think there's so many aspects that pickleball can be used to make things better. And I'm just really grateful for it.
That's great. Well, no, well, thank you. Thank you so much. David, I know you've got some other philosophical questions you want to ask him, or
Well, I had a few, but I might save them for another time. Maybe we can have him back because he's so interesting. So, you know what? I don't know if you did this on purpose, but as soon as you mentioned goals, my head is about to explode. So I wanted to ask him about that. So, but anyway, you've played with a lot of semi-famous people, or at least pickleball famous people. I think I saw you on the court with maybe Kyle at one point as a Gator or whatever. So is there anyone you haven't played with that you want to play with?
Oh,
And it's not David George. It's not David George.
Oh,
by the way.
Well, I heard he had one heck of a tournament out. Was it in California 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, Michael, take that.
Yeah, I mean that was all over the ticker.
baby.
Yeah, that was a. Everybody was talking about that one. So
All right, so I'll expect my invite to Pickleball 3 in Orlando then.
there you go. What college did you go to?
Well, I got a PhD at Notre Dame. So if there's any Notre Dame, I could get in there.
Golden Tate. You could play with Golden Tate. He's a
I'll play with him.
Player.
Yeah, he was in my class and then he was out of my class. So I almost taught him, but not quite.
Yeah, I mean, he'd be one of the higher level celebrity pickleball players out there. I would say he's a very good player.
Jewel Lloyd is great pickleball player. She wins a lot of 4-5, 5-0 tournaments out there. Basketball player, a WNBA player. She's great too. If you're looking for Notre Dame connections.
Yeah, there you go. Well, we'll have to follow up on that. And I all this excitement, I forgot what the question was.
It doesn't matter.
That happens.
No, I think he's asking who would you want to play pickleball with?
Oh, yeah. Fascinating. Well, part of my underground dealings to be in the NPL, I was in anyway, but Rick and Beth didn't know that. So they were really trying to encourage me to get in. So I had each of them commit to play one tournament with me at some point. So I'm looking forward to play with Rick someday and Beth as she gets better at some tournament. I've really on the pro level, kind of the younger pro level, I've really gotten to know a lot of the different players and have really enjoyed them all. You know, when I first started, I did a jigsaw commercial with Ben Johns and we played with him a couple days, and he bet that he could beat me and my son 1v2 left-handed. and so we had dinner and we're driving home after dinner and we're talking about doing it the next day. And he says, yeah, I'll play left-handed against you too. And he goes, what should we bet? And my son says, we'll bet $1,000. I'm like, son, no, this is not happening. We're not betting $1,000. So we lowered the bet to $100 and the loser buys dinner. And then as we're getting out of the car that night, Ben says to my son, hey, Jonah, before you go to sleep, I just want you to remember all night long that you're going to be an island tomorrow and you're going to hit every ball. And I'm not going to hit one ball to your dad and we'll see how good you do. And then my son's like, he's not as nice as I thought he was, but he came out, he beat us 11-7, 11-7, left-handed 1v2. Now that was 2.5, 3 years ago. He'd have a hard time doing that now, I think.
Yeah.
But that was fun.
You should do double or nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Double the bet. Yeah.
Yeah. Put $1,000 on it now. That's right.
My money's on you.
Yep. Likewise.
Danny, you look really good in that pistachio green NPL shirt. Keep wearing that.
Man.
Yeah, there we go.
Pistachio green.
There we go.
What team is pistachio green?
It's just
I don't know.
It's just why'd they pick that color for this shirt? Do you know, Rick?
I don't know. Maybe to memorialize the fact that I picked everybody on your team, and that's my favorite color.
We call that Irish green, is what we call that.
Is that what you call it?
That's not Notre Dame green.
That's right. Well, look, Danny, we love having you on it. Thank you so much. You're such an invaluable piece of the National Pickleball League. We're so blessed to have you participate in our league. Everybody loves you in our league. Your record of 22 just is amazing. I checked our schedule, David. We don't play Denver again in the regular season. I think, thank goodness we don't, although I want another chance at them. But hopefully, Danny, we get a chance to play in the championship weekend in October, and I get a chance to play against you. I don't think I will, because I think by then you'll have moved up to the JV and the varsity. I'll still be in the freshman squad. But just by chance we
graduating.
I know you're graduating. I'm stuck in freshman. But in case we get a chance, I would love to play with you again. But at least I have the memory I can say on my wall, hey, at least I took a game off of the Heisman Trophy winner. Didn't win a match, but I took a game
Michael,
off of
time to conclude the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Good job,
Rick's
Michael.
done.
Way to go, Michael.
Thanks for making the podcast with Danny Wuerffel about Michael Chen. Great.
Exactly. Once again.
Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you
It's
so
great
much,
having you.
Danny.
Thank
It
you.
was great having
Thank
you,
you,
Danny.
Danny.
Thanks,
All right,
Danny.
bye-bye.
In
Great.
Kansas City.
Yep. See you in Kansas City. Bye-bye. Gosh, he is awesome, isn't he? He's just
so awesome.
He's so
No,
awesome,
Rick,
and you
I thought
ruined
you were
my
gonna
ending.
ask to go through the match one more now. In game 2, did you give a boomball serve?
Oh my goodness, you love giving me the hard
11-4.
time. I thought you, Jen, I thought you and I are like brothers and sisters, and then we're gonna talk to Dr. Evil, Professor Evil, David. But I'm getting hammered. I'm supposed to be the hammer. My name's Hammer Mike,
But
not
you kept
Hammer
calling me
Mike.
boring. They
Yeah,
replaced
we're
it all last week.
We're gonna call you
Wrong
Hammered
memory.
Mike.
Yeah, but I didn't call you boring on the
He said-
podcast.
He said I was going to get replaced if I didn't spice it up. I said, well, go ahead.
That was off camera. That was not in the podcast. That was off the podcast. But
But
by
yeah.
the way, the podcast is still going on. I haven't closed the podcast yet.
Stop doing that. Stop.
Yeah. For the record, I want Kim Kessner and Sherry Corder.
All
You
right.
what?
You want to
They would
spice it up a little bit?
oh,
I want Kim Kessner, yeah. And Sherry.
Sherry. I mean, I might have to miss that day if Kara gave it to me. Sherry's just gonna I can feel it through the screen.
All right. Well, we'll
Why
have
don't you have
some-
them on together? We could do like a together. We could do.
No, we want to give them each their own time.
Yeah,
So we're
Okay.
We're
Yeah, those
But-
would be great guests, though.
Let's
we'll-
do Kim.
we'll spice it up. We'll spice it up. We'll get us spice it up, and then we can have you, Jen, ask some tough questions like you did
Oh,
last
because I
time.
was her teammate last year. So we
Yeah.
have some fun memories.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, I'm excited. Next week, do your homework, get your predictions out, because the Swami was 1-0 picking Boca to win last week. So you guys got to get your pencils sharpened and see who's going to win the Kansas City weekend. And you can't pick your own team. Otherwise, I would
All I know
lean heavily
is
on
that
Kansas City.
you asked Rick to play a tournament as well, right?
He's my bromance, but he hasn't said yes to me
I
yet.
mean,
you
he's
know?
going to play with Danny.
I know he played with Danny before me. I'm hurt. I'm his business partner. He still hasn't played with me yet. I'm
There's
waiting
a
for the
price,
day.
right, Rick? There's a
Hey, I'm just trying to get into pickleball 3. That's all. Michael, you said you're going to line me with clinics in Connecticut. You haven't done one thing.
All right,
So,
I'll
yeah.
work.
sorry.
Hey, David, you were my roomie. You got to play a pickleball tournament with me too. Like,
there you
know,
go.
one
Yeah,
of you
well,
got to play.
My favorite part of the podcast is when Michael goes, "Well, I didn't play in the NFL," and we're like, "You had to announce that out loud." I mean,
All right, all
You
right.
look like
thanks,
a lineman.
Michael. Yeah, I didn't make it in the NBA either. Like I was shocked.
Well, this is Michael Hammer Mike Chen on behalf of my co-host, Chen Bone Crusher Gallwas, David the Professor George, and Rick Ripskin Witsken. This is Everything in the Kitchen Dink, where we go inside the NPL. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to the official podcast of the National Pickleball League. Please stay tuned as we will be back soon with our next episode as we go inside the NPL.